Hello and welcome to Dad's 5-word challenge story. Now before we begin, let's just recap the words that I had to include within this story. They were guard, board, phone, elephant and pineapple. So the title of the story is Noah, the Elephant Detective. If you discovered something precious and valuable, what would you do with it? Would you keep it? Would you hide it? Would you sell it? Or find someone to give it back to? Well, when Monty, a worker in a diamond mine, came across a diamond in the shape of a pineapple, with a spiky top and a prickly bottom, he decided to smuggle it out, even though he knew it was wrong, and he would be in trouble if people found out. Despite taking great care to remove the precious stone undetected, news of the discovery soon got out, and meant lots and lots of people, good and bad, wanted to find it. Where shall I put it for safekeeping? Monty said to himself. I know, the zoo. No one will ever expect something so precious to be hidden in a zoo. Monty had a restless night. He was experiencing so many emotions all at once. The next morning, the miner bought a ticket to visit the local zoo with his children. He knew he couldn't keep the weird-looking diamond and felt sorry for stealing it in the first place. It just had to disappear. It was a glorious day, and the queue to enter the animal kingdom was long, as children excitedly told tales and performed demonstrations of their favourite animals, as they waited patiently in line. As people moved through the winding, snaking mass of bodies towards the entrance, Monty noticed that there was a bag search area prior to the ticket booth. Sweat began to trickle down his face as they began to worry. He needn't have wasted the effort in worrying though, as the miner and his children got to the front and it was their turn. The guard simply opened the bag and saw all the sandwiches that were laying on top of and hiding the precious stone. If you don't have a nice day, at least you'll have a nice lunch, the bored-looking security person said to the children as they zipped up the bag and ushered them through to the ticket gate. Phew, Monty thought. The animal adventure was loved by the children, and for a while the miner forgot about the fruit-shaped object in the backpack that they needed to hide, until a glorious opportunity presented itself. At the elephant enclosure, it was feeding time as the children approached. Can we feed the elephants? Please, 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 came the cries of the children. Timing was everything, as these huge animals were being fed a lunch of a fruity variety. All Monty had to do was slip the pineapple-shaped diamond into a fruit bucket, and everything would be okay. Clunk, as the diamond was deposited, and the miner and his children ventured on to see the giraffes. The job was done. Now, have you ever wondered what the animals get up to in a zoo when everyone has left and night falls? Do you think they have a party with DJ Percy Penguin in charge of the music? What if all the animals did the conga through the zoo? That would be funny. And it is silly, I know, but this was no ordinary zoo. Benjamin, the night guard, was doing his rounds when he came to the elephant enclosure Part of his job was to ensure all the animals were safely secured in their homes for the night. As Benjamin was searching the viewing building, his torch scanned across something shiny in a bucket that was sat in the corner. He went to investigate the source of this strange light. "Oh my goodness!" Benjamin said out loud, upon discovering the shiny fruit-shaped stone. He'd been paying attention to the news and knew that this was what everyone was looking for. Really, Benjamin should have been seeing to the giraffes right now, but he was far too interested in this find of his. Asking Google on his old and not-so-smart phone, Benjamin discovered that this piece of rock he held in his hand was worth gazillions. He just had to steal it. What Benjamin did not expect to encounter, though, was Noah, the elephant detective. In fact, Noah was no detective at all, but he did like fruit, and Noah knows when something is wrong when he sees fruit-shaped objects walking away from his enclosure, especially at night time. As Benjamin was walking out into the moonlight, holding the diamond in the air, and watched it sparkle in the night sky like a bright shining star, he forgot to close the elephant enclosure. "I want my pineapple back," Noah trumpeted to the rest of his long-nosed friends. "I'm off to investigate." Nudging the gate open with his trunk, the elephant detective stepped onto the main zoo walkway and tried to follow the naughty guard. This, however, was no easy task, as Noah had never been outside the fence that surrounded his pen. And it was dark. He would need some help. There was only one option for this job: the all-seeing eye, Harrison the hawk. As the only animal in the zoo that ever left the confines of their caged home, Harrison would know the layout and could point Noah in the right direction. 3 times a day, this bird of prey would fly around the zoo to the oohs and the ahs of visitors, as he would glide through the sky gracefully before swooping down to his trainer. Harrison saw everything. For Noah, unlocking the gate was simple. He just wrapped his strong trunk around the bolt, and with a chink, the gate was open. After a bit of a squawk and a trump, the magnificent bird took to the sky. Noah plodded behind, trying to follow from the ground. Harrison circled a few times, which made the elephant rather dizzy as he spun around and around, keeping an eye on his flying assistant. Suddenly, the circling stopped, and the hawk gracefully fell out of the sky before it sat atop of Noah's head and pointed a wing in the direction of the penguin enclosure. Harrison had found the sneaky guard. Benjamin had not noticed the bird flying overhead or paid any attention to the sounds of the animals. He was far too distracted, thinking what he would spend all that money on whilst munching on his fruit pastels. "I'm going to be rich," he kept saying to himself. The little and large detective duo of Noah and Harrison kept plodding the pathway, the bird still perched on the elephant's head, giving wing directions. They were closing in. Still holding the pineapple diamond in his hand, the guard started to hear a plod, plod, plod sound. "That's a bit odd," he thought, as he glanced over his shoulder. "What's that? Is that a shadow? Who's there?" he said nervously, flicking on his torch and scanning the area. Suddenly he caught sight of the long-nosed animal with a mohawk. No, of course not, but Noah did have a hawk on his head. Benjamin began to run. Harrison took flight as the elephant went from a plod to a trot, and then to a gallop, his fruit thief in sight, waving a bright light. Benjamin had no chance. As the bird of prey swooped down, grabbing the precious stone with his strong talons and snatching it from the guard's grasp before taking back to the sky. Noah made up the ground easily and scooped Benjamin off his feet with his long trunk and carried him to the best place for naughty guards to spend the night. Morning came and the zookeepers began to turn up for work. Everything seemed normal until they saw the most bizarre sight. Gloria, the gorilla, was sat tightly hugging and caring for something unfamiliar. "Wait, is that Benjamin, the night guard?" they said. It took some time for the lady ape to release her new favourite toy, but finally Benjamin was rescued. Although he never talked about the diamond and never went to Noah's, Harrison's, or even Gloria's enclosure from that day forward. As for the pineapple diamond, after realizing he could not eat it, Noah asked Harrison to put it somewhere safe. So he dropped it in the lion's enclosure, where it remained to this day, with no one brave enough to go looking for it. The end.